All right. Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So today we're gonna be we're gonna be checking out Kendrick Lamar's surprise album GNX.
Oh, yeah.
We're using a YouTube discussion from Marquis at Work Media to guide our deep dive today. It features Joe Budden and his co-hosts.
No.
And they're talking all about like fan reactions,
Right.
the reincarnated track, which is getting a lot of buzz, and whether or not this album could be a record breaker in terms of sales. What do you think? What's your first first impression of Kendrick doing another surprise drop?
I mean, it's pretty wild how he, keeps shaking up the music scene,
Yeah.
doing this. I mean, his last album, Damn, was huge commercially.
Oh, yeah.
So, expectations are through the roof
Totally.
for GNX.
Yeah, and one of the things that Joe Budden and the other co-hosts could not stop talking about was that reincarnated track.
Right.
And they were really, feeling that West Coast vibe, comparing it to Tupac, specifically his Thug Life era.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think it's a really interesting comparison because, Tupac is such an icon, and I think by, channeling that West Coast sound, Kendrick's, he's paying homage.
Yeah.
But he's also, potentially tapping into a whole new generation of fans.
Right.
Who maybe haven't been exposed to that.
It's a point
that classic West Coast vibe.
Yeah.
And so I think he's bridging a gap between, generations of hip hop. And I think, to really grasp what we're talking about, I think we should probably just take a quick listen.
Let's do it.
To Reincarnated.
All right.
All right. So what'd you think?
Yeah, you can really hear those West Coast influences. Just those melodic elements, the funk influences in the beat.
Totally.
That smooth but hard-hitting flow.
Yeah.
It all points back to those sounds that defined West Coast hip-hop in the 90s.
Like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely hear it. It's fresh but familiar at the same time.
Yeah.
I really dig it. Now, Joe Budden and his crew, they're really digging into the business side of this release.
Okay.
They're speculating whether GNX can outperform Damn, which sold a massive amount of units in its first week. 600,000 units in the first week.
Wow.
And they're thinking, given all the hype surrounding GNX, it could push it even further. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, first week sales are such a big deal in the music industry, right?
Totally, yeah.
It creates headlines. It drives those streaming numbers.
Yeah.
Which are just crucial in today's landscape.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, a strong first week can really catapult an artist to the top of the charts, solidify their position.
Yeah.
And I think, Kendrick's surprise drop strategy, it can really amplify those sales,
Right.
Because it creates this sense of urgency and exclusivity.
Yeah.
Like you've got to get it now.
Yeah, totally. It's like that fear of missing out, right? It's like, oh, everybody's talking about this. I need to check it out.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Tyler, the Creator, did with his surprise album.
Oh, right.
I remember that. That made such a huge splash, and it sold something like, I think it was like 300,000 copies in the first week.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a big deal.
And Joe Budden's thinking Kendrick could double that number.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I think it makes sense. It's, it's not just about the music itself. It's the whole event surrounding the release.
Oh, yeah.
The surprise factor, the speculation, the debate, it ignites.
Yeah.
It all adds to the album's momentum.
For sure. Okay, so now we got to talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
This whole Drake and Future situation.
Oh, right, yeah.
It seems like there's a track on GNX that's either sparked or reignited some serious tension between Kendrick and Drake.
Yeah.
And to add fuel to the fire, Metro Boomin and Future are potentially caught in the crosshairs because of their, recent collaborations with Drake.
Oh, wow.
So it has everyone wondering, like, is this genuine beef? Is this a publicity stunt?
Yeah.
Or a little bit of both?
It's like a real life hip hop soap opera.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out the script.
Totally.
So what do you think?
Yeah. Do you think it's more about, like creative competition or is there like some like genuine personal animosity there?
I mean, well, hard to say.
Hard to say, right? But
Yeah.
It's fascinating how these feuds can simultaneously boost careers and create chaos.
Right.
They generate publicity, they draw attention to the artists,
Yeah.
but they can also damage reputations
For sure.
and limit collaborations down the line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's a tricky situation. Yeah, and remember when Drake publicly said that he had no issues with Future, even after that whole Metro Boomin situation?
right.
Joe Budden's crew, they bring that up too, and it just raises even more questions.
Yeah, it seemed like Drake was trying to, stay above it all.
Right.
But now with this Kendrick track, it's like he's been dragged right back in.
Exactly. And that's where all the speculation begins.
Yeah.
Some people think this is Drake's way of regaining control
Okay.
after what they saw as a very Kendrick-dominated summer.
Interesting.
It's like he's trying to reclaim his spot at the top,
Oh, yeah, at the top of the hip-hop hierarchy.
Exactly. It's a reminder that, in the music industry,
Yeah.
image and perception are everything.
Absolutely. How much of this is genuine, though?
Right.
And how much is just calculated,
Well, and to add to all of this, right?
Yeah.
The alleged diss track on Kendrick's album.
Uh-huh.
It was released on a project led by Future and Metro Boomin.
Oh, wow.
So that makes it seem like Drake might hold them responsible,
Interesting.
for his current predicament.
Sure.
It's like
Well,
this
yeah.
chain reaction
Yeah.
with all these unintended consequences.
So where does this leave everyone then?
Right.
Will they ever work together again?
Yeah. What did Joe Budden and his crew have to say about that?
Exactly.
So there were some differing opinions.
Okay.
Joe Budden seems to think that the damage is done.
Really?
He suggests that Drake might be too proud to let it go.
Wow.
He even compared it to the DeMar DeRozan situation,
Okay.
implying that some things are just unforgivable, even in close friendships.
So is there a point of no return then? Even in the music industry?
Well, that seems to be Joe Budden's perspective.
Yeah.
But other members of the crew were more optimistic,
Okay.
arguing that, time heals all wounds.
Right, especially when there's money to be made, right?
Especially when there's potential to make more hits together.
Yeah.
They think that, artists can separate their personal feelings from the business side of things.
So they're weighing the emotional and the financial,
Right.
What do you think about all that?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Does Joe Budden think that Drake will ever reconcile
Yeah.
with Future and Metro Boomin?
Right?
Well, he actually said that if he were Drake, he would cut ties with both of them permanently.
Wow. Okay.
He argued that Drake, at this stage in his career,
Yeah.
has the luxury to choose who he works with.
Right.
Maintaining his image and his legacy
Yeah.
might be more important to him than, patching things up.
It's a tough call, especially given their history.
Right.
Do you think he values his reputation more than those relationships?
It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but the Marcus at Work crew, they brought up another interesting point.
Okay.
They argue that sometimes the greater good outweighs personal feelings.
Okay.
They suggested that Drake might eventually see the financial benefits of working with Future and Metro Boomin again.
Right.
Even if it means, swallowing his pride a little bit.
So it's almost like this cost-benefit analysis, right, of a relationship. What wins out in the end,
Yeah.
pride or profit?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
But remember, Joe Budden also argued that, some things just can't be fixed,
Okay.
no matter how much money is on the table.
Uh-huh.
He used a powerful analogy.
Okay.
He said, some wounds just run so deep
Yeah.
that even billions of dollars can't erase the pain.
Wow.
So in Drake's case, he thinks it's not just about the money.
Right.
It's about maintaining his self-respect and control
Okay.
after feeling like his position was challenged.
So this has forced him to reevaluate
Yeah.
his place in the hip-hop landscape.
Exactly. Joe Budden even described Drake's current state as one of boredom.
Boredom.
Yeah, like this desire to shake things up.
Okay.
After years of dominating the scene.
He's at the top. What else is there to do?
Right. He suggested that Drake might be looking for new challenges. Ways to reassert his dominance.
It's almost like he's a king who's grown tired of his kingdom
I like that.
and needs a new conquest.
Yeah. And in this case, the conquest could be proving that he can stay at the top,
Right.
even without those he once considered allies.
Interesting.
The crew even discussed Drake's recent distancing from newer acts like Sexy Red.
Oh, wow.
They speculated that this could be a calculated move
Okay.
to reestablish himself as a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Not someone who's chasing the latest wave.
So maybe this whole situation is less about, personal grudges
Right.
and more about Drake trying to regain control and influence
Exactly.
within the world of hip-hop.
That's a really insightful point.
Thanks.
It leads to a bigger question, though,
Okay.
about power and legacy in the music industry, you know?
How do artists balance staying relevant with staying true to themselves?
Right. What was Joe Budden's final take on all of this? He thinks this is a turning point for Drake,
Okay.
like an opportunity for him to redefine his circle, consolidate his power, and show everyone he's still calling the shots.
It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes, you know?
Right.
Ready to reclaim its dominance. But wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the musicality of Reincarnated and how it connects to Tupac's legacy,
Right.
to those predictions about record-breaking sales and all that drama with Drake and Future.
It's wild.
But you know, it feels like we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
I feel like as more fans listen to GNX, the conversation's just going to get, you know,
More complex.
more complex, more nuanced.
For sure.
But you know what? Now we want to hear from you, our listener.
Yes.
We've explored Joe Budden's take on the whole Drake and Future thing.
Right.
But what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Do you think these musical feuds ultimately help or hurt the artists?
It's a debate that's been going on forever.
It really has.
Some argue that competition brings out the best.
Yeah.
Others say it's just negative and overshadows the music. So think back to what we talked about today. You know, the impact on collaborations, the emotional toll,
Right.
the strategic maneuvering.
It's complicated.
It is.
There are no easy answers.
Nope.
So we'll leave you with this.
Okay.
Based on what we discussed and what you already know about music, do you think these feuds do more harm than good?
Right.
Or are they just part of the game?
Mm.
We encourage you to explore GNX for yourself.
Yes.
Dig into those lyrics and come to your own conclusions.
Draw your own conclusions.
As always, stay curious and keep those critical thinking skills sharp.
Absolutely.
You know, as you navigate the world of music and entertainment.
Thanks for joining us.
This was fun. Thanks for listening to this deep dive, everyone.